The market's crashing! It's all over! We have to get out! Move!
Everybody thinks the next economic collapse will look like 2008. Banks will fail. Markets will crash. Governments will rush in to save the system. But that may not be what's coming next. The real danger is much bigger than a banking crisis. It is a global system that can no longer support the lifestyle people were promised for decades. And over the next 5 to 10 years, this could affect your job, your savings, your country, and even the kind of future your children can realistically expect. Because the next collapse may not happen all at once. It may happen slowly, quietly, and right in front of us while most people still believe everything is normal. So in this video, I want to show you the hidden framework almost nobody is talking about. This framework connects debt, AI, geopolitics, demographics, energy, and monetary policy into one larger picture. Because the next collapse is not just economic. It is civilizational. Most analysts study these problems one by one. But history shows that major collapses happen when many systems begin breaking at the same time. We saw this before the fall of Rome, before the Great Depression, before the collapse of the Soviet Union, and before the financial crisis. And now we are seeing rising debt, shrinking middle classes, falling birth rates, AI replacing white-collar jobs, and growing tension between global powers all at once. Technology keeps moving forward, but many people feel poorer. Markets may keep rising while real buying power gets weaker. Governments may look stable, while trust slowly disappears underneath them. And that contradiction is the signal. Every day, people are told that the economy is strong. The news talks about rising markets, strong company profits, and new technology changing the world. On the surface, everything looks stable. But when you look closer, the picture starts to break apart. Because if the economy is truly strong, why are so many young people unable to buy homes? Why are millions working harder than ever but still struggling to save money? Why are governments drowning in massive debt while telling people everything is under control? And why are central banks printing huge amounts of money just to keep the system moving? At the same time, birth rates are falling across many developed countries. More people are delaying marriage, delaying children, or giving up on the idea completely because life feels too expensive and uncertain. Layoffs are increasing in many industries, yet stock markets continue hitting record highs. Those things should not be happening together in a healthy economy. That is the contradiction. Technology today is more powerful than ever before. AI can now do work that once required years of training. Productivity keeps improving. Businesses are becoming faster and more efficient. But if technology is making life better, why do millions of people feel financially weaker than their parents did? And if globalization created long-term prosperity, why are countries now pulling back from it? Why are governments raising tariffs, protecting industries, and focusing more on national survival instead of global cooperation? Then there is inflation. People are told it is slowing down, but food prices still feel high. Rent keeps rising. Healthcare costs keep growing. Education becomes more expensive every year. Wages are not keeping up with the real cost of living. So what is actually driving all of this? The answer may be deeper than most people realize. Decades ago, the world entered a debt-based system that depended on endless growth, endless borrowing, and endless expansion. And now, for the first time in generations, that system may be reaching its limits. To understand what may happen next, we need to look at the deeper system driving the modern economy. I call this system the compression cycle. The compression cycle happens when debt grows faster than real productivity. Technology replaces workers faster than society can adjust, and governments create more money to delay economic pressure. At first, the system still looks healthy. Markets rise, technology improves, companies grow. But underneath the surface, stress slowly builds across the economy. The first part of this cycle is debt expansion. Governments borrow money to keep economies moving. Corporations borrow to grow faster and increase profits. Ordinary people borrow to pay for homes, school, healthcare, and daily life. Over time, debt becomes the fuel of the entire system. But eventually, growth itself starts depending on larger and larger amounts of borrowing. The economy needs more debt just to avoid slowing down. The second part is technological displacement. AI and automation make businesses more efficient, but they also reduce the need for many workers. Companies can now replace jobs that once required human skill and training. Productivity rises, but wages become weaker. The economy grows more advanced while many people become more financially unstable. The third part is asset inflation. Instead of money flowing mainly into wages, it flows into stocks, real estate, technology companies, and financial markets. People who already own assets grow wealthier. Meanwhile, workers struggle to keep up with rising costs. This creates a system where ownership matters more than labor. The fourth part is institutional trust erosion. As inequality rises, people slowly lose trust in governments, banks, media, corporations, universities, and even democracy itself. Many people begin feeling that the system no longer works for ordinary citizens. And once trust starts breaking down, economic systems can become unstable very quickly because modern economies depend heavily on public confidence. Now here is why this framework matters. Around the world, major powers are already behaving as if they see this shift coming. Even countries that strongly disagree with each other are preparing for a more unstable future. One of the biggest signs that the world is changing is the way major powers are now preparing for the future. Countries that compete with each other politically, economically, and militarily are all moving in a surprisingly similar direction. The United States is trying to bring manufacturing back home after decades of sending factories overseas. It is investing heavily in artificial intelligence, protecting important industries, and trying to secure supply chains for technology, energy, and military production. At the same time, the US is working hard to protect the power of the dollar in the global financial system. Why? Because many leaders no longer believe globalization is fully safe or stable. China is preparing in its own way. It is stockpiling important resources, increasing control over key industries, and reducing dependence on Western markets. China is also investing massive amounts of money into AI, semiconductors, and advanced technology. The country appears to be preparing for a future where global trade becomes more divided and less reliable. Europe is moving in a similar direction. Many European nations are increasing military spending much faster than before. They are also focusing more on energy independence after recent global energy shocks exposed major weaknesses. Industrial policies are becoming tighter, and governments are trying to protect strategic industries inside their own borders. These countries disagree on many things. They compete for power, markets, and influence. Their political systems are very different. But despite those differences, they are all preparing for the same type of future. They are preparing for a world with less globalization, more resource competition, major technological restructuring, and growing economic instability. That convergence matters, because when rival powers independently move toward the same conclusions, it often means the threat is real. Governments may disagree on ideology, but they are all reacting to the same pressure building underneath the global system. If this framework is correct, then the next few years will begin changing society in ways that many people are not fully prepared for. The first major shift will be the continued shrinking of the middle class. This will not happen because society suddenly becomes poor overnight. In fact, markets and technology may continue growing. But the gap between wages and assets will likely become even larger. People who own property, stocks, AI systems, major technology platforms, or digital infrastructure may gain huge advantages. As automation increases productivity, more wealth may flow toward ownership instead of labor. The people who control important systems could become far wealthier even while large parts of the population struggle with rising costs. At the same time, ordinary workers may find it harder to build long-term security. Saving money becomes more difficult. Buying homes becomes harder. Retirement may feel further away for younger generations. The economy could slowly divide into two groups: people who own assets and people who mainly provide services to survive. The second major shift may come from artificial intelligence itself. For years, many people believed automation would mostly replace factory jobs and physical labor. But the first major wave of AI disruption may hit white-collar workers much harder than expected. Office workers, analysts, customer support staff, junior programmers, administrative workers, and even content creators may begin facing growing pressure from advanced AI systems. Tasks that once required years of education and training can now be completed faster and cheaper by software. The psychological impact could be enormous because these jobs were seen as stable and secure careers. Many people spent years preparing for work that may suddenly become less valuable in the market. And this is where the pressure becomes dangerous. When large numbers of educated workers begin feeling economically uncertain at the same time, trust in institutions can weaken very quickly. People may start questioning whether the system they worked hard to enter can still provide stability for the future. Now let's test this framework against what is already happening in the world today. Look at the massive explosion of investment in artificial intelligence. Governments and major corporations are spending hundreds of billions of dollars on AI at the same time. The mainstream explanation is simple: innovation. Most people are told this is just the next stage of technology. But the deeper explanation may be very different. Many leaders understand that current debt systems are becoming harder to maintain. Growth is slowing in many parts of the world, populations are aging, and labor costs continue rising. AI offers a way to increase productivity without depending fully on human labor. In other words, AI is not just a technology race. It is becoming a survival tool for slowing economies trying to keep growth alive. Now look at global supply chains. For decades, countries focused on maximum efficiency. Companies moved factories overseas to lower costs and increase profits. But today, many governments are bringing manufacturing back home even though it is more expensive. Why? Because efficiency is no longer the top priority. Resilience is. Countries are preparing for a world where supply chains may break during wars, sanctions, pandemics, or economic conflicts. The global system is shifting from maximum efficiency to maximum survivability. That is a major change in how the modern economy works. Then there is political polarization. Across many countries, politics is becoming more divided, emotional, and extreme. Trust between groups is weakening. Anger toward institutions keeps growing. Many people feel that the system no longer protects them or offers a stable future. Economic pressure plays a huge role in this. When people lose financial certainty, fear increases. And when fear increases, politics often becomes more radical. People begin searching for stronger leaders, simpler answers, and groups to blame for their problems. This is why the framework matters. It connects these events together instead of treating them as separate problems. AI investment, supply chain restructuring, and political instability may all be symptoms of the same deeper pressure building inside the global system. Now, it is important to look at the strongest counterarguments to this idea, because no framework is useful if it cannot be challenged. Some people might say, "You are just being negative. Technology has always created new jobs in the past." And that is a fair point. Historically, major technological changes did lead to new industries, new jobs, and higher living standards over time. The Industrial Revolution, electricity, and the Internet all created new opportunities that did not exist before. But there is a key difference today. Artificial intelligence is not only replacing physical work. It is now replacing thinking work. Jobs that involve writing, analysis, customer support, design, and even basic programming are now being automated. This is new, and it changes how fast the economy can adapt. Even if new jobs are created in the future, the question is whether people can retrain fast enough to match the speed of disruption. If change happens faster than adaptation, then pressure builds in the system. Another common objection is this: the economy is still growing, and that is also true in a narrow sense. GDP numbers may still rise, markets may still go up, companies may still report profits. But growth does not always mean shared prosperity. It is possible for the economy to grow while many people feel poorer. If wages stay flat while the cost of living rises, people lose purchasing power even in a growing economy. If asset prices rise faster than incomes, inequality expands even during growth. A rising stock market does not automatically mean a healthy society. And to be honest, this framework could be wrong. It should not be treated as certainty. It is only useful if it helps explain reality better than other explanations. If, in the future, we see wages rising faster than asset prices, debt becoming stable, housing becoming more affordable, and trust in institutions improving, then this compression cycle would weaken or even break down completely. But right now, the direction of the world is still pointing the other way. If this framework continues in the direction we are already seeing, then the next stage is not a sudden collapse. It is a chain reaction that builds slowly over time. It may begin with artificial intelligence increasing productivity across many industries. As companies produce more with fewer workers, they reduce labor costs. This sounds efficient, but it also weakens middle-class wages over time. When workers earn less or feel less secure, consumer spending begins to slow down. When consumer demand weakens, governments and central banks often respond by printing more money or increasing financial support to keep the system stable. But this can push more money into financial markets instead of everyday wages. As a result, asset prices like stocks and real estate may rise even further. This creates a wider gap between people who own assets and people who rely on salaries. Wealth inequality grows, and as pressure builds, political instability often increases. People begin to feel that the system is not working for them. At that point, countries may start turning inward. They focus more on protecting themselves rather than depending on global cooperation. Trade becomes more limited. Supply chains become more regional instead of global. When global trade fragments, prices for goods can rise because systems become less efficient. As this continues, trust in institutions can slowly decline. People may feel that governments, financial systems, and global rules are no longer stable or fair. That loss of trust is dangerous because modern economies depend heavily on confidence and cooperation. That is the cascade. And if these trends continue, by the early 2030s, the global economy may look very different from today. Not in a dramatic movie-style collapse, and not in total chaos, but in a quieter shift that changes how society works at a basic level. It may become a world where ownership matters more than labor, where stability becomes more important than freedom, and where governments rely more on digital systems to manage economic behavior and maintain order. For you, this means the next decade may not reward traditional career paths the way it used to. Instead, it may reward adaptability, real skills, ownership of assets, and the ability to move and adjust to changing conditions. Before you accept or reject this idea, it is important to slow down and test it with clear thinking, not emotion. Ask yourself 3 simple questions. First, does this framework explain the contradictions we already see better than the normal explanations we are given? Because we can all see the same problems. Rising costs, rising debt, strong markets but weak living standards. The question is not whether these things exist. The question is what explains them in the most complete way. Second, does it explain why major rival countries are all moving in the same direction at the same time? Even nations that disagree deeply on politics and power are preparing for supply chain breaks, economic instability, and a more divided global system. If they are all reacting in similar ways, then there may be a shared pressure underneath the surface. Third, are the main trends already visible today? We can already see rapid AI disruption changing jobs. We can already see debt levels rising across governments and households. We can already see housing becoming harder to afford for many people. We can already see growing distrust in institutions. And we can already see countries becoming more focused on economic protection instead of global cooperation. If the answer to these questions is yes, then what we call an economic collapse may not come as a sudden event like in the past. It may come as a slow restructuring of society over many years. Not a single moment of failure, but a long process where the rules of the economy gradually change. And in that kind of world, the biggest advantage will not belong to those who react late. It will belong to the people who recognize the shift early, understand the direction of change, and prepare before the system fully adjusts. Because in moments like this, awareness is not just information. It becomes positioning, and how you understand the next 5 to 10 years may decide how you experience them.